let's go into the predictions for the game. Obviously, Brighton, I think I've got a lot of injuries if I recall. They've got maybe 10 injuries.
That's what we said last week, though, so let's not kind of make that same mistake.
True. I'll take that comment back, actually. But
they do have lots of injuries.
They've got a lot of injuries. And we have our fair share still. We've just spoken about Nkunku and Lavia. I think if we look at the full list of injuries, I think I've got it here now. Gusto is out. Trevor Chalobah apparently still injured. Ben Chilwell, Carney Chukwuemeka, Wesley Fofana are also out. So very defensively, you look at those players, obviously take away Nkunku, a lot of our defensive or midfield is currently disjointed still. Brighton's always a tricky game, and it shouldn't be, but it is. What's your thoughts going into that game? What's your expectation? And surely we need to see an impressive bounce back from Newcastle.
Yeah, so I will talk about their injuries because they do have a long list. I believe Lamptey and their loanee from Barcelona, Ansu Fati, both injured for a lengthy period with thigh injuries. Welbeck, a player who always performs against us,
always scores
as well. Always scores, yeah. Lewis Dunk suspended after his red card. I think it was against Forest. Dahoud suspended as well. Estupiñán, the Ecuadorian fullback, injured as well. And there's a few others on that list. They do have lots of injuries. And they did play in Athens last night against AEK Athens in the Europa League. So you'd hope there'd be a bit of fatigue in the squad travelling back to Brighton probably early this morning or late last night. That being said, we have struggled against Brighton, and with recent years, I think 2 draws in the last season, and then I think 3 wins in the previous 3 seasons. It's going to be a tough game. We've beaten them already in the League Cup, so we do have the capability and the capacity to beat them. I think it just really depends on the fire that these players have to bounce back from that poor performance against Newcastle and the desire they want to show to pick up 3 points. Because like I said, these games are going to come thick and fast now in December, and the last thing you want to be doing is dropping points at home to Brighton. And if I'm completely honest, this Brighton's team is not performing as well as they were last season. Mm-hmm. They do look a bit more fragile defensively, and I think maybe the kind of addition of European football midweek has maybe meant they have to rotate more often, has led to injuries and fatigue in the squad. So I think they are beatable, but I'm still not overly confident. If we play anywhere near like we did against Newcastle, we're going to struggle. We're really going to struggle. So we can't allow any lapses in concentration defensively, and we need to be effective and ruthless with our chances. Because the last thing you want is to have this type of Gallagher, Jackson, Enzo chances and not take them, because those were sitters for me. So yeah, I'm expecting a tough game, but I'm also expecting us to bounce back and try to get 3 points.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to win. I really don't. And again, not to be the negative one on here, but I just look at our form, and I say this every week now. And some weeks I'm surprised, look at the Tottenham game, albeit with the 9 men, and against City, I was surprised, but I just don't see where the goals come from. You look at Sterling's amazing free kick against Newcastle, but apart from that, yes, we created chances, but was there ever a moment where I thought one of these chances is going to be converted into a goal? Probably not, because you don't have that confidence with Jackson. You don't have that confidence with maybe Raheem Sterling, away from a set piece to take some players on or get a ball into the box to Jackson, or you're hoping Cole Palmer might have a bit of trickery and do something. So I just don't see it. And I think with Brighton, I agree with you. I think they have changed. I think there's more to do with the McAllister and the Caicedo, 2 big signings leaving the club in the summer as well, and not really replacing them with like for likes, so to speak. But they have still got Evan Ferguson, who I love. I think he's a really good player. Adingra, who I like as well. Matoma on there as well. So I think, we could see a midfield of Billy Gilmore coming back to Stamford Bridge actually tomorrow. It wouldn't be surprised if he gets on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, I did put a tweet up or an Instagram post with all the players that have played for both Brighton and
there's a couple.
Chelsea. There's a lot. Yeah. Even like the likes of Tomori, Izzy Brown, Gus Payet played for Chelsea, managed Brighton, Wayne Bridge, Steve Sidwell, Cucurella, Robert Sanchez, Levi Colwill. There's a lot of them on that list. Graham Potter.
You forget how many actually, don't you?
Yeah.
But I just look at Brighton, And it wouldn't surprise me. I know we're at Stamford Bridge. I think I said the game was tomorrow, it's Sunday, 2 p.m. I look at Brighton and I think they're a team that could just turn up to Stamford Bridge and get 3 points.
That's what they did last season. I think it was Lampard's first home game in charge. And they beat us 2-1. I think I was wrong before I said we drew the last 2 games at home in the league against them. We lost last season and we drew the 2 previously, 1-1 and 0-0 the year before. They are capable of just coming and winning, getting 3 points, and they have done that at times this season. They haven't played amazingly. Like last night, they didn't play amazingly in Greece, but they got 3 points. Al Pedro, another good player that they've got.
Forgot.
It's going to be a tricky game, and we can't take it for granted despite their injuries.
I asked you, I think it was 2 weeks ago, whether, and maybe we can't do that now with the Reece James suspension, but I did ask you whether Pochettino should consider reverting back to a separate formation. This formation doesn't seem to be the 4-2-3-1, doesn't seem to be working. Maybe that's because Nkunku's not in the team at the moment. Lavia's obviously still got to come back into it, but do you think this is a game where you attempt, I don't think we can do it now with obviously Gusto and James out, but do you attempt to go back to that 3 centre-backs with the 2 wing-backs? Is that something maybe we look at in this game, or maybe we look at in another game going forward, or do we just stick to what we are trying to implement and then hopefully when the players come back, it all fits the pieces to the puzzle?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Jackson can't score at the moment or struggling up front. Our midfielders, Gallagher, Enzo and Caicedo haven't scored a single goal this season except for Enzo's in the League Cup, which puts all the pressure on Palmer and Sterling to score the goals, and all of Palmer's goals have come from the penalty spots. So I think there's a chance maybe throughout December we trial it again with the wing backs because they do offer a lot of firepower going up the pitch. But we can't do it against Brighton. We don't have either Reece James or Malo Gusto to play right wing back. So I think I'm going to have to write off that formation for Sunday. And DCC, I think, at right back is going to be the suitable option because you don't really trust him with right wing back. You don't think he's got the legs or the crossing ability.
But I think we don't have Cucurella or Chilwell either.
Is Cucurella suspended, isn't he? 5 yellow cards.
Yeah.
So it's going to be probably Colwell left back, Colwell left back, DCC right back, Silva, Badiashile centre backs.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Or Maatsen. Forget about Maatsen. I think it's time we bring Maatsen in. And
I don't think we will.
You're shaking your head.
Look, the only reason is I think if he was going to be part of the team, he would have played some form of football by now. I can't remember how many games he started. I don't think he started the game. I think he came on very early on in the season. He played
the League Cup against Wimbledon and maybe came off the bench against Liverpool at the start of the season.
I think he's going. I think he'll be gone in January, him and Chalobah. But we've sort of blended into our predicted lineup. So we've gone for Dizazi, Silva, Badiashile and Colwell as left back. Very much the same, probably going forward from there onwards, do you reckon? I don't know.
I think Ugochukwu came in against Newcastle, but I don't think you'd start him back to back. So I'd stick with Caicedo, Enzo, and Gallagher. And then what I will say is I'd drop Jackson for Broja on Sunday.
I'd agree.
And have Palmer and Sterling either side of him.
I'd agree. And I'll be honest, when I've seen Armando Broja come into the team, I just feel there's an opportunity he might score a goal more so than I do with Jackson on the ball. And I don't know if that's just because I've sort of resigned to the fact that Jackson isn't going to score, or he just offers a bit more from, you get a bit more from Broja that he might get the goal. Picks up really good pockets of space in between the defenders as well. So I agree with that. I think he has to have the opportunity. He's had a lot of, like we've just spoken about, Nkunku coming off the bench, getting a bit of minutes, coming off and doing all of that. Broja's been doing that the last couple of games, and I think this would be a perfect game to start him. And I've always said as well, that's not a criticism as such to Jackson. It's just another option off the bench that we need. If Broja, 60, 70 minutes, 80 minutes has felt the full effects of a game, playing that many minutes in one part of the game, take him off, bring on Jackson for the last 10 like we do with Broja. Give the defenders something else to think about as well. So, I'm definitely, I don't want to see Nicholas Jackson for the next 7 days. I don't want to see him against United. I don't want to see him against Everton. I want to give Broja a good run of games, consistency in that team, understanding how Palmer and Sterling play, linking up with them, hopefully Enzo feeding a lovely ball into him, something like that. I just want to see some more creativity being converted into goals, I think is the next step for us now.
Yeah, and I think Broja was on that list of players that might want to consider his future in January, given the lack of game time he's had. But Pochettino, I think, wants to give him more consistent game time before making a decision in January. And I believe Fulham are one of the clubs that are really interested in him. And they haven't really replaced Mitrovic since he's left. And I was at the game on Monday against Wolves at Craven Cottage. And I'll tell you what, their fans are so critical of Raul Jimenez.
Oh, really? To be expected. To be expected.
Yeah.
To be expected.
Yeah, I don't think he's performed to the levels that they expected this season. I think he might only have one
He's
goal.
Got one goal. Yeah.
One goal. So they might look for a new number 9 in January. And Broja, whether it's a loan, whether it's a permanent move. But I think we need to keep him. I think Nkunku likely to get injured again. We're still unsure if he'll play as a number 9 behind the striker on the side of the striker. So for me, I want to give Broja a run of games and see what he's worth.
Yeah, you're forgetting about the guy in Italy at the moment who might return.
No, we don't mumble his name anymore.
Yeah, he's not returning. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You know, I think Broja has a lot to offer in this team, more so next season. And I think we'd be so stupid to get rid of him. Yeah, so I'd start him. I'd start him for the next couple of games. Give him that consistency, that run of football, and see what he can do. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? He doesn't score goals. Well, the same thing's happening with Nicholas Jackson at the moment. So what are we losing? Well, we might gain rather than lose. So for me, it's a no-brainer. So I think we've kind of got our team pretty much. Sanchez in goal, Disasi, Silva, Badiashile, Colwell, Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, Conor Gallagher, Raheem Sterling, and Armando Broja up front. I think that's the team. As we always do, let's wrap up with the predictions, the scoreline. I don't think anyone's been right, or if we have, it's been very few and far between this season. So what are we going for Brighton, Sunday, 2 p.m?
I'll be watching this one, recovering from my marathon with my legs probably with some ice packs all over them, and my first pint that I've had in a month or so. But yeah, I'm going to go with 1-1. I think we will drop points. I think we'll concede from a set piece, but maybe a Sterling or a Palmer will pop up with a goal.
Optimistic. I'm not as optimistic as Theo at the moment. I'm going to go, I think we're going to get thrashed again. I think this could be a 3-0 drumming, maybe 3-1. I look at our right back, left back, makeshifts, and I think about Matoma. I think about Adingra. As I said, really like him, very good player coming through. He'll probably play on the right side, Matoma on the left. Nightmares for Colwell, nightmare for Disasi as well. I just worry about those two, and then Silva playing centre back with Badiashile kind of worries me a lot. And Sanchez, who somehow has managed to escape any criticism on the podcast this week, but with Sanchez in goal as well, I do worry about that back line and the goalkeeper.
This is one for another podcast, but I feel like the criticism to Sanchez is undeserved. But
yeah, we'll save that for next week then, because
we'll save it for next week. Yeah.
So, would you not replace him? Just very quickly, would you not bring in a goalkeeper and there's not many, so I'm not saying who, but do you think if we was in the Champions League, would you trust him in goal?
Would we have conceded the same goals we conceded this season with Kepa? Yes. And I think we would have conceded anything.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think it's like the lesser of two evils. I think at the moment with Sanchez, I think
there's a few list of goalkeepers that I've drafted that I think could do a good job at Chelsea, but I want to give Sanchez the full season before judging him. And I also think he's pulled off some unreal saves at times.
He has. He's
also against Haaland.
He's also let some really bad goals in as well.
Just the one against Arsenal, if we're honest.
I'm going to make a reel of him, what they call it, a compilation. I'm going to bring it for the podcast.
There's a few reels of a United goalkeeper going around at the moment that we were linked to.
Yeah, we definitely I think we dodged a bullet because we were linked to it.
Dodged a big bullet with that one, yeah. And I'm happy sharing those reels with all my United friends.
Just quickly though as well. So Petrovic, another player that hasn't really featured. As we just spoke about Nicholas Jackson and Armando Broja, is this maybe the wrong question for you, but for Chelsea fans, I think this could be an opportunity for us to play him as well and see what he can do.
Yeah, I would have given him the Wimbledon and the
League
Blackburn
Cups.
games.
Yeah,
The League Cup, he didn't play those. And if he doesn't play those, obviously you play usually your number one in the Prem games. And that leaves us maybe with the FA Cup game, start of January, whoever we draw. But if we draw a City or Liverpool, Poch might think, shoot, this is my only chance of winning silverware. I'm going to play my number one. So you do wonder, when does he play? Maybe Poch sees something on the training ground that we don't. And that's maybe
true.
Sanchez performing better than Petrovic. But I'd give Petrovic a chance. We clearly brought this guy in for a reason. He was pretty good in the MLS. We got Slanina out from the MLS as well. So this league does produce good goalkeepers. But yeah, you just do wonder when his chance is going to come. But I feel we could have a whole segment on goalkeepers in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, definitely. We'll come back to this next week, I think. But for anyone who's listening, make sure you go and give your predictions in the comments if you're on YouTube, or head over to the social accounts and interact over there with us as well. Make sure you hit the Linktree link in the description. That takes you to all the previous episodes. And as I said, all the social accounts and all the information will be on there as well. Make sure you subscribe, give this video a like as well. Don't forget to do all of those things before you leave. Theo, as always, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, I mean, I always say it's a pleasure, and then we get to Monday morning and we're fuming. So I don't know, is it a pleasure? I'm not sure.
It's a pleasure for now. Yeah,
it's a pleasure for now. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend when you get to it. Thanks for watching.